What's good, BFM? This is Big Tone coming at you from Big Tone Productions. Beats and Feasts, you know what time it is. It's time for another cooking video, and today, for some reason, I just wanted some Swedish meatballs. I don't know why, but I wanted some Swedish meatballs, so that's what we're doing today. I'm going to show you how I make my Swedish meatballs. It's a real simple recipe. Pretty quick, pretty easy, but hey guys, if you like the video, do me a favor. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. Make sure you share the video. Let's get started with some Swedish meatballs. Alright, so the supporting cast is pretty simple. I make my Swedish meatballs similar to the way I make my Italian meatballs. So in this bowl I have a pound of ground beef, which is 20-20, or 80-20, sorry. And I got a pound of Italian sweet sausage. I like the sweet sausage for my Swedish meatballs. So that's what I have in this bowl. That's my meat, my protein. I'm gonna use probably about a half a stick of butter, some Philadelphia cream cheese, some sour cream, and some cream and mushroom soup. Alright. Then I got about one onion cut up here. Maybe a little less than an onion. Some allspice, the W sauce, some nutmeg, some Italian breadcrumbs, some salt and pepper to taste. You know how I get down, pink Himalayan sea salt. I got some beef broth, and you got to have some sort of egg noodle, some kind of vehicle to serve this on top of. So that's all the ingredients I put in there. You don't have to put the sour cream and the cream cheese in there. That's my personal choice. You can do one or the other, but that gives it that tang to it that you gotta have. So anyway, let's get started putting this together. Right, so first things first, before I do anything, preheat your oven 400 degrees. That's where your meatballs are going. I bake my meatballs for this. I don't pan fry them. And next, start your water for your egg noodles. You gotta boil your egg noodles, so go ahead and get that started ahead of time. And right here, we're gonna start our onion. We're gonna put our onion in a saucepan here, and we're gonna sweat these down because inside of like meatloaf, meatballs, or anything like that, I don't want raw onions in there. So I want to cook these and sweat them down a little bit, and then we'll put those in there. One ingredient that I didn't mention, I'm gonna put a little bit of minced garlic in the onion to go in the meatball. So I'm sorry I forgot to mention that, but that is what we're gonna be doing. All right, so we're gonna sweat these down. It's gonna take a few minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna start seasoning up our meat. There's another ingredient that I totally forgot, and that was 2 egg yolks. But I'll get to that here in just a second. Let's season up the meat here real good. So the first thing I'm going to add is about a teaspoon of allspice. Just about a teaspoon of that. And we're going to add about a teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to go in with our W sauce. About a quarter of a cup of the W. We're going to break 2 egg yolks. And we're just doing the yolks. We want to keep this nice and light. There's 1 yolk. And there's the second yolk. Had to wash my hands off a little bit. Clean up my work area. And we're going to go in with a little black pepper. A little pink Himalayan sea salt. You know how I get down with that. Alright, and then we're going to mix that up. So you got to get your hands dirty, and we're going to mix this up. We're going to mix it up before we put the onions and the garlic in there. So we got to get our hands in here, get it nice and mixed up here. Because we don't want to put the warm ingredients on top of the egg and cook the egg. So let's mix this up real good. And I do want to emphasize, don't over mix it because it'll make it tough. It'll make your meatballs tough. But we want to get everything incorporated. Okay. Alright, so we're going to add our breadcrumbs in here. You can use panko. I'm using just regular breadcrumbs here. But you can use whatever you like. It's just a binder to hold it together. Once the onions get done, we're going to mix the breadcrumbs and the onions and all together. Alright, so we're back over here at the stove. And our onions are sweating down nicely. Just about done. We're going to hit that with about 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. And we're just going to stir that around just so it gets fragrant. We're going to cook that for about a minute or two. Like I said, just till it gets fragrant. And we're going to add it to our meat mixture. An ideal situation, I'd let that get cool, and then I would add it to the meat situation. But I don't have that kind of time doing the video. Alright, so we got our onions and garlic mixture in here along with our breadcrumbs. And we're going to start to mix this up with the wooden spatula here. Just because the onions are hot. Once it gets into the meat, then I'll start to use my hands. There we go. Alright, so it's all mixed up there. I'm going to show you how I make a couple of these meatballs and what I put them on as a tray. And then we'll start on our sauce once I get those meatballs in the oven. So, time for the making the meatballs. So, what I like to do is I just take a little soup spoon and I grab enough of the mixture, plop it in my hand, roll it around, and I make my meatballs about that size. I put them on an oil tray here so they don't stick, and probably make about 30, maybe 40 meatballs, something like that. I just like baking them. It's a little bit less fuss. Takes a little longer to do. You still got to make the meatballs, so it doesn't really matter. And that's the time it takes, so. So that's all there is to it. That's how I do it. You're going to keep rolling those out. Get the whole pan, get it all full. Use all your meat. And pop those in the 400-degree oven for about a half hour, 25 minutes to a half hour. So let me finish these up, and then we'll start on our sauce. So there you go. My meatballs are all made up on the pan. The whole pan goes in the oven for about 25-30 minutes, 400 degrees. So once those are done, we'll put them in our sauce, and while those are cooking, we're going to make our sauce. So I got a pan here, a larger pan, and I got about a half a stick of butter in there. So to that half a stick of butter, I'm going to create like a little bit of a roux. To the half a stick of butter, we're going to add a little less than a 1/3 cup of flour. And we're going to stir this up in here real good. And pretty much this roux is going to help thicken the sauce. But we're going to let that cook. A little bit more. I may add a little bit more butter to it here in just a second. Add a little bit more butter. And let that melt in there. You can see it's becoming like a paste. And that's our roux starting to form. Keep stirring that up. And it's not like a roux that you have to, like you're making a jambalaya or red beans and rice or gumbo or something, where you gotta let it cook for a long time to get it dark. This is just for a thickening agent. Just cook it long enough to get that flour taste out of there. I'll let that cook for about another minute and a half, and then I'm gonna start adding my beef broth. So we're gonna stir in our beef broth here. Let that roux start to thicken that up. Get all that from around the edges as well. A little bit more beef stock. While that starts to bubble here, I'm going to go over and grab my cream of chicken noodle, or cream of mushroom soup, I'm sorry. And we're going to add that can of cream of mushroom soup. And we're going to stir that around in there and let that melt down. Yeah, that roux is really doing a good job of getting it thick. Cream of mushroom soup is going to help too. Keep your beef broth close to you. You may add some more the thicker it gets. But keep stirring. Don't be intimidated by the lumps. Those will cook out. Alright, so we're going to let that cook a little bit more, and then we're going to come back and add our sour cream and cream cheese and some salt and pepper. So, over time, I ended up adding the whole 4 cups, 32 ounces of beef stock to it, and you can see how it's turned out. Alright, so now we're going to add our cream cheese to it. I went ahead and softened my cream cheese. So I got my cream cheese in here, stir this around in here. I'm going to add my sour cream here in just a moment. Alrighty, got my cream cheese in there. That was about a half a stick of the cream cheese. And I'm going to use about 8 ounces of sour cream. Once those get nicely incorporated, I'm going to give it a taste, see what I need for some spices. Alright, so we're going to let that cook for just a little bit. I'll be back. Alright, the sauce is cooking up nicely. It's nice and smooth. I'm going to give it a little taste, see what I need for some spices. Alright, so I'm going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce to it. A little dab of do ya. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. And a pinch of pepper. I'm going to give it another taste here real quick. There we go. Needed that little kick to it. So I'm going to put that on a low heat. Let it cook till my meatballs are done. And we're going to add our meatballs to the sauce, and then I'll plate it up for you. Alright, so the meatballs are out of the oven. And we're just going to plop those into our sauce. Just like this. And I am going to, at this point, let this cook with the meatballs in it for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I will plate this up with the noodles so you guys can see the finished product. Alright, so there's all the meatballs in the sauce. We're going to stir those up just a little bit, make sure they all get covered. Put those on a little light simmer, 5-10 minutes, and I'll plate this up for you. There you go, good homemade Swedish meatballs over some noodles. Guys, you know what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that bite. Here you go, good homemade Swedish meatballs. You know what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that bite, guys. Let me get a bite of the meatball. Oh, they're nice and light. I can tell just by cutting them. Let me get some noodles. Oh man, guys, this is easy. So you gotta try it at home. Do me a favor, if you like the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, make sure you share the video, and hey, this is Big Tone signing off. Peace.